Hey everyone, and welcome to Project Premium Harvest. My name is Matt. In today's video, we're going to be going over ULTY, the YieldMax Ultra Options Income Strategy ETF, right? We're going to be discussing, is this a viable option to invest in for retirement, right? Then we're going to talk about total premium paid out. We're going to discuss NAV erosion considerations. We're going to talk about tax considerations because this is a high income ETF. There's going to be a thing called return of capital, and then the difference between return of capital and paying on the net distribution of your premium. Then we're going to talk about what the actual net monthly distribution looks like once you take into consideration NAV erosion, share price, distribution, and all of that. And I'm going to break it down for you nice and neat. So let's get started. All right, as you can see on my screen, they are saying that ULTY has a distribution rate of 100%, right? For me, I don't necessarily like going off of what YieldMax puts out because they're just trying to make it sound like their funds are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Whenever we break down these numbers and start crunching them, we're going to see how ULTY is not an actual good investment. So we'll break it down. I'll break it down. We'll talk about the numbers. Let's go to the spreadsheet now. All right, guys. So here is the spreadsheet. And what I did for you guys is I went through the last 10 months of distributions for ULTY, right? Put them all on the spreadsheet in a nice, neat format. And over 10 months of ULTY paying distributions out to its investors, you guys have netted about $10.02, right? So that's a total premium without taking into account any other variables, right? And then if you look at that on an average monthly basis, every monthly payment, that's about $1. It's about $1 a month, right? But now let's talk about the next phase, right? NAV erosion, taxes, and things of that nature. So for these calculations, this is the way I'm doing it. This might not be the way you did it when you invested in the fund. I'm not taking into consideration the September prospectus change. For me, I'm just looking at it from all the data that we have at this current time. We're now looking at prospectus changes for these 10 months. That's what I'm looking at. And if you want to calculate a different way, please do so. But this is how the way I'm doing it, right? So when this fund came out in March 13th, or its first payment was March 13th, right? The share price about $20.42. And that's the share price I'm going to use, right? I'm going to go to Robinhood real quick, and we're going to look and show you where I got the number from, right? So when it incepted, it's about $20.42. And then now we're going to look at the different NAV erosion for this fund. Over the last 10 months, this fund has lost 54.95%, and it lost about $11.22 of its share price. So we're going to take that and we're going to use that in our NAV erosion calculation. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. Cool. So NAV erosion, calculating it here, it's at $11.22. And then now, before I get into this tax distribution, I'm going to point out where I found this tax information for ULTY. All right, so back at the YieldMax ULTY site, right, I scroll down to supplemental tax information right here. Supplemental tax, click on it. Then we're going to search F ULTY. Boom. And so when I looked at these forms, YieldMax seems to be a little lazy because they haven't done all of the 19A1 forms for all of their distributions. They only did it for, May, June, July, August, September, October. They haven't done it for December. They haven't done it for March, and they haven't done it for April. So I'll get into it at the spreadsheet. Let's do that. All right. So for those months that I did call out, right, I went ahead and put that data into the spreadsheet, and nice and convenient for you guys to see, right? But over those, over those last 6 documents, the 19A1s, right, the average tax-free distribution for ULTY is about 96.16%. And the net distribution you have to pay taxes on at ordinary income levels is 3.8%. So of this $10 and almost 2 cents, you're going to have to pay about 38 cents per share of taxes, right? At ordinary income, right? So if you make, $50,000 of premium, then you're going to have to pay, 3.8% of that at your ordinary income tax bracket. A little confusing, but that's how it works. All right. So basically how I calculate this 3.8% is I added up all the net distributions we have to pay taxes on. And then we basically divided this 38 cents into $10. And that's how we got 3.8%. Right. Taking all of this into consideration, the net total premium with NAV erosion, I'm not even accounting for taxes, just the NAV erosion alone is you are losing in your investment $1.2 per share. Yeah, so in total for the 10 months of ULTY being out, right, you are technically down $1.02, $1.2 a share, right? And then if you look at the actual distribution rate, it's negative 5.88%. So your net monthly dividend is actually minus 12 cents every single month per share. So this whole, video is about, can you invest in ULTY? The answer right now is absolutely F the fuck not, right? You're going to lose money in the long run. And we're going to show it over here in this part of the spreadsheet, right? Let me zoom out a little bit, get more on the page. Okay, right. So we're negative 5.8%, 5.88. You're negative 12 cents every single month per share. That is not a good investment by any means. YieldMax, what the hell are you guys doing, right? People can go off of the total yield. That is such bullshit, right? The whole point of these funds and the reason why most people are investing in these funds is that you want to invest your money, right? And the distribution is supposed to be high enough that it's actually producing a net positive, right? There could be some NAV erosion. Most funds aren't perfect, but the distribution has to be high enough and the fund recover enough so that by the end of it, when you account for the NAV, and all considerations taken in place, you are net a distribution instead of having to put the money back into it so you didn't lose your initial investment, right? And one more thing about how I calculate these numbers of how I calculate this negative, 1.2 total premium. That means you lost $1.2 per share. Is basically I took the total premium and I subtracted it by the NAV erosion. Maybe I'll put this in parentheses showing this is negative, this is bad, right? So basically I took the total premium and subtracted it by the NAV erosion, right? Some people might not agree with subtracting the total premium from the NAV erosion. However, the way I view this is if we want to retire on it, the premium has to be better than the NAV erosion. Otherwise, you've lost your initial investment. Some people can say, yeah, you'd be fine losing some money, but at the end of the day, it's not, right? The less money you have in your account is not good. And then say eventually you want to pull out of this fund, right? To then pay some bills real quick, or you need use it for an emergency. You invested in this thinking you're going to make monthly distributions, and then turns out you actually lost money in the long run. Not a good deal at all, right? So that's how I calculated it. I took the total premium, subtracted the total premium from the NAV erosion. And then at the end of the day, you are down $1.2 per share, which is 12 cents a month. And if you look at that in a distribution percentage, it's negative 5.88%. Cool. So let's break it down on this chart. And this chart is known for investing in $1,000, $10,000, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, and $1 million, what the distributions would look like. This is the one video so far, this is my third one I'm making, that I didn't even do the taxes because you lost money. You're not going to pay taxes if you're losing money, right? Well, let's just go through the sake of the motions, but so obviously we're talking about ULTY. The purchase price is $20.42 a share, right? The dividend yield is negative 5.88%. It's not a weekly payer, so I did not come up with a net dividend weekly average. But for the net dividend monthly average, you are negative 12 cents a share every single month since its inception. Obviously, if you bought at different times, your numbers are going to be different, but I'm using all of the data. Okay. And then your net yearly, as I said, is you are down $1.2 per share. Right. So we talked about the different investment numbers. Okay. So if you bought 1,000 shares of ULTY at $20.42, you'd be able to own 48 shares. I double checked my numbers because one of the videos I put out for my YMax was a little bit off. Cool. We're going to go down the line. So if you invested $10,000 into ULTY at $20.42, you'd have 489.72 shares. If you invested $25,000, you'd have 1,224 shares. The $50,000 investment, you would own 2,449 shares. The $100,000 investment, you'd have 4,897 shares. And for the $1 million investment, you would have 48,972 shares. Cool. So let's talk about the monthly income. All right. So because the interest rate, or not the interest rate, but the dividend yield is negative 5.88%, and pretty much we're losing money, your monthly income is going to be losing about, negative $5.88 per month. And then if you look at that over a year, that's about negative $58.81. If you look at the, $10,000 investment in a monthly income perspective, you are losing $58.81 a month. And then over a year period, it's $588.10. You are losing that money. You are not gaining because this fund has not made money this year. For the $25,000 investment, the monthly income is $147.02. The yearly income is your negative $1,470.25. For the $50,000 investment, your monthly income is negative $294.05. And over a year period, that is negative almost $3,000. So we get the trend here, right? So for the $100,000 investment, monthly income, negative $588.10. And over a yearly income, $5,881. For the $1 million investment, the monthly income is negative $5,881. And for a yearly basis, that is negative $58,809.99. And as I said earlier, guys, I didn't even want to calculate the tax. I still came up with the numbers of your distribution. You still have to pay taxes on 3.8%. But honestly, I don't know if you lose or you're negative money like this. I don't actually know if you have to pay taxes, right? So I left that out of this specific video. But for anyone that is invested into ULTY and you guys actually like it, please can you tell me what your numbers look like? Because for me, for anyone that is currently invested into ULTY and are still trying to be a diamond holder or a bag holder, please let me know why you're still investing. I understand that you can get an income ETF at a relatively cheap price and the distribution is pretty high, right? But in the end of the day, if you hold this long term, you're losing money, right? Sure, you can invest in the fund and then each distribution, you can pull that money out, you can put it somewhere else, But at the end of the day, why don't you just choose a better income ETF that doesn't lose 50% of its value in 10 months? Right. So that's kind of my thoughts on this video on ULTY itself. Would I personally invest in? Currently, I am invested into it, but not for the reasons of holding on to it long term. I bought on an ex-dividend day and I plan on selling out before the declaration date, before its ex-dividend date and before the payout, so I can lock in a quick grab of cash. But ULTY was trading pretty bad the last month, so I might even just sell out a loss. And honestly, after this, I'm never going to invest in a ULTY ever again. All right, guys, I wanted to add one more thing is I wanted to show a compound calculator. A lot of people have been asking about, I'm not even incorporating the benefits of compound, which is like the 8th world wonder, as Warren Buffett would say, right? So I did the due diligence of throwing some of these numbers into This calculator found in lines, the market beat. So let's get into it, right? So currently we're looking at ULTY. That's no surprise there. It's a monthly pair, right? We're going to be dripping it. The number of shares, we're going to start off with the $1,000 investment. So that's going to net us, I'll just round it up, do, 40, we'll do 48.97. So do 48.97 shares, share price at, as we mentioned earlier, $20.42. We're not going to be adding any of our own money. The dividend tax rate, honestly, we'll just put this at 0. And then the initial annual dividend yield doing a negative 5.88%. The annual increase 0%. Expected annual share price appreciation 0. And then we'll just do 20 years what it looks like. So your initial $1,000 investment, if you invest it today and then in 20 years, you're actually going to have less balance. You're going to have $307.61. Right? And let's look at it here, right? So initially start, $1,000 investment, 49 shares, and then throughout the years and the monthly payments, you end up with $307.61. So over 20 years, you lost $700. Cool. So now let's look at the $10,000 investment. So we'll do 489 shares. Let's calculate this. So the ending balance is now $3,000, right? So you started out, $10,000 new, this $10,000 new balance. And then after, 20 years, you have $3,000. You have less money than you started. Cool. I'm just going to skip the, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. We'll just go to the million just for the fun of it, right? So share price of 40, or you're going to have 48,972 shares. We're going to calculate it with the same metrics as earlier. So of $1 million investment, what is left over is $307,000. All right. I plan on making my own personal compounding growth tracker because I don't think some of these are as accurate as I would like them to be because of the nuances of an income ETF. But for the most part, just to get an idea of what this would look like over a 20-year period, let's just do 30, see what that looks like. After 30 years, your ending balance is 170. How long does it take before you're at 0? Let's do this. Let's do 50 years. I'm curious. So 50 years, you're at 52,000. And then what about 60 years? 29, what about 100? 120? Well, I guess it would take about 150 years for you to go to 0. So probably be dead by then. So your kids' problems or your great grandkids' problems. But yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If any of my numbers look wrong, please let me know in the comment section. But the numbers that I came up with, I think they're solid. For me, from everything I've seen in this community and the income ETF community, ULTY has been hot garbage. And if anybody has a different perspective, please let me know. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a different take on it. And if this made you feel a certain way, I hope that you crunch your own numbers, right? Maybe during that prospectus change in September, things have changed and it hasn't deteriorated as much. Maybe it's not 50%, but it's maybe still 20%. Is that still good enough, right? This whole point of this video is to get you thinking of these investments. Personally, would not invest in ULTY. If you are, just think about it, Yeah, guys, that's the video. Have fun out there. Enjoy your journey. Matt out. Till next time. I'm thinking about doing a YMAG video. I was initially going to make a YMAG video instead of this one, but I wanted to get this information out there sooner to people so they're not holding on to like a garbage bag, right? And I hope that people reallocate their money and find a better investment. But I definitely think YMAG and YMax are better investments instead of ULTY. They don't pay as much, right? But I think they're safer bets. The NAV erosion to premium distribution is worthy, or in same thing as like xdte, rdte, and funds of those natures. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, guys. Love you. Peace. Matt out.